Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Cobb County. What a day, what a time, and what a year we are in as we celebrate the champions of our home baseball team. We have opportunity to pay honor to the heroines who have championed and protected our home turf. And I'm glad to be up here to say thank you. I'm also joined with commissioners from Cobb County Board of Commissioners, Commissioner Joanne Burrell of District 3, Commissioner Monique Sheffield of District 4, and I'd be remiss, when you're an elected official, you have to pay respect to other electeds who are here. So I want to pay respect to Senator Kay Kirkpatrick, who is here, and also Senator Michael Dockrett. Thank you for being here today. I hope I'm not missing any other elected official. If I am, please raise your hand and stand. But certainly, we again want to pay respect to our women who have served. And we recognize that many have been underrepresented, even sometimes overlooked. But women have been a force of our nation and in our nation's armed forces from the beginning. And so you serving actively, you serving honorably, wholeheartedly, exemplarily, should be really of no surprise. For as women, have we not always been called to serve? As women, have we not always protected? And as women, have we not always been in the fight? Yes, we have recognized all of these contributions of women from the beginning. And from the very beginning, we know you have recognized the quality, the value, and the sanctity of life. As women, you have been tied to our military, and so is our county. Even this nation's civil war was fought here in this county, and we are no stranger to the battlefield. With the Bell Bomber plant, which would become Lockheed Martin, Cobb has long provided crucial planes for our country's military dating back to the Civil War. Dating back to our World War. Dobbins Air Reserve Base, the Naval Air Station, and now the headquarters of Georgia's National Guard, all made Cobb County their home as they provided for our nation's defense. Our residents have constantly volunteered to fight our nation's wars. They put themselves to the hazard during the worst when others would not. They use their skills and judgment to survive no matter where they are placed or what obstacles surround them. Your families, hand in hand, have endured the stresses of the harshest service and of lengthy absences of loved ones. By any measure, their lives are loaned to the cause of America. Almost 700,000 veterans live in Georgia, and it's estimated that 41,000 of those live here in Cobb County. When it comes to women veterans, above 4,800 live here in Cobb, which is 11% of the veterans' population, and that is higher than our national average. But you are not a statistic. You are here living with us, working among us, serving with us every day. And we hope that our ability to say thank you to you is not just in word, but our ability to thank you is in deed. We have a number of veteran services that are here in our county because we know that not only you deserve our support, but you have earned it. And so we are grateful for all that Cobb County continues to do to serve our veterans. But I would think that our greatest service is to treat all who are here, whether or not you served here or you haven't served here, whether or not you are young, whether or not you are older or seasoned, whether or not you are Democrat with the blue or Republican with the red. We are here to serve everyone and to value who they are, their dignity, their life, the preciousness of the sanctity of life, because they exist in our here. I believe when we serve and we fight for the life of all persons within this county, when we recognize the preciousness of everyone's value, we honor you as you have honored us, because you have been called and you have been serving from the beginning. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you, Commissioner Burrell. Thank you to everyone in our team and our staff who's helped to bring everyone here together today so we can celebrate women who have served and continue to serve here in Cobb County. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairwoman Cupid. And I am Takosha Swan. I'm the Vice Chairwoman of the Georgia Department of Veteran Services Board, and I will be your MC for today, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to have fun, right? Yes, we are. First, what we would like to do is honor our country, honor our veterans, and we will start with the presentation of colors. Following the presentation of colors, we will have the national anthem. And the presentation of colors is being presented by Lassiter, Pope, Cale High School, Naval JROTC. And the national anthem will be sung by Marcus White, Cobb Deputy Sheriff.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Can we give a hand for the presentation of the colors and the national anthem? We will now have a moment of reflection and prayer with Dr. Tyncee Lynch, veteran and advocate.
Good afternoon. I am so honored to be here to add a minute of reflection. All around the world this week, next week, this month, veterans will be honored everywhere. But it is so special when we honor our women veterans that have risked their life for the defense of world freedom, and we are not invisible. So I want to thank the women who serve from all branches. And it's an honor to stand here before you in Cobb County. When I first came to Cobb County as a young girl, kind of up there, don't look like it, but yeah. As a young girl, I was reflecting about the new streets, the new buildings. I was working with Cobb Chamber way back when I was working with labor. It's been over 20-something years, and recently I retired from the VA after 31 years of federal government service. So, and veterans are close to my heart. I'm a veteran, and my husband is a veteran, and we are so proud to serve. The theme this year from the government for veterans, they're going to be honoring the centennial of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. So today, as we reflect, I ask you just to close your eyes and go with me for a moment for those that gave the ultimate sacrifice and risked their lives. Father, we thank you today. We thank you for such a great day and a good day to honor all veterans, but especially women veterans, our sheroes. We have come together to say thank you for a job well done. We appreciate Cobb County. We appreciate every service organization that's represented here to serve those who serve. And today, we thank you for a great day. We thank you for those who have fallen and the family members that have stood by their sides. And we thank you for each woman veteran that's represented here today. We give your name honor and glory. And it's his name we pray. Amen.
So before we move forward to the speakers, I would once again like to recognize distinguished guests and sponsors. Would you please stand if you're a distinguished guest or a sponsor, please, for this program, which would mean you are a commissioner or a state representative or a sponsor for the program. Would you please stand one more time so that we can recognize you? Thank you. So first, I would like to give a little bit of background about your MC for today. My name is Takosha Swan, and I am the vice chair of the State Board for Veteran Services. Later today, I will be sharing with you a song that I wrote, and it's called the Veteran Anthem. I composed it, I wrote it, and I also sing it. It took me 20 years to write the Veteran Anthem. When I joined the Army and was shipped to Fort Jackson, South Carolina, in the year 2000, I was 18 years old, like many other soldiers and service members. During that time, my drill sergeants, when I was in basic training, found out that I could hold a few notes, and I was singing the national anthem as soon as I joined the military in basic training. And I sung the national anthem since then for basic training, for countless ceremonies, for colonels and generals, and even when I served in Iraq, I was singing the national anthem over there too. But there was one day that my drill sergeant asked me a question. We were in the Bay, and it was in the evening, and he would usually talk to us every evening and let us know how the day went. We did a recap, and then he would talk to us about what we would be doing the following day. But one particular day, he looked at me. We were all sitting there, and he asked me if I knew a particular song. And I did, and I said, I know how it goes, but I need you to tell me the words, and I'll sing it. I knew in that moment that music could heal. I knew in that moment that as service members and veterans, we need inspiration. We need to be inspired. Every day, every year, all the time. And my drill sergeant found a way to be inspired right there in the middle of basic training in his job by asking me to sing a song. It's moments like those in basic training, me singing the national anthem, me singing the national anthem at cultural events, countless ceremonies through my military career, moments in Iraq when I formed a choir in the middle of war. We had spiritual services. Everything was in the tent at the time. That was 2003 when the war first started. And we had choir rehearsal in the tent. It was nothing but desert. Across the road was the Air Force and the Army. We were on the other side. And we would all get together, and I formed a choir, and we would have rehearsals. And then we would march to the tent down the dirt road, and we would sing. And we would keep each other lifted and inspired in the middle of a desert, in the middle of nowhere. It would take me becoming a veteran in 2005 and struggling to become a civilian. It would take me marrying a soldier and exploring the life as a military spouse and singing the national anthem for his banquets and for his ceremonies. It would take me running for office to support veterans. It would take me being appointed by the governor of Georgia to the Department of Veteran Services Board. It took 20 years of life and experience for me to write and compose and sing one song. And I call that one song the Veteran Anthem. Our national anthem supports our amazing flag. And I wrote the Veteran Anthem to accompany the national anthem. For the Veteran Anthem supports those who uphold the flag, service members and veterans. We uphold the flag minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day. And later on in the program, I will present that song to you. But now, since you've learned a little bit about me, I would like to present our first speaker. World War II veteran, Carol Bouchard. She is U.S. Navy Wave Singing Waves Platoon. She was Seaman First Class. She served from 1945 to 1946, and her birthplace was Youngstown, Ohio. Please give a hand to Carol Bouchard.
If you have a program, you know that my name is Carol Bouchard. I would grow up with the name of Schindeldecker. That's a good German name. Pennsylvania German. As for my rank, I didn't get above Seaman First Class, but as a wave, that was enough. Now, I served from March of 1945 to June of 1946. The reason I joined up with the Navy, that was my first choice, but because when I came home from school in 94, that is from college, from Thanksgiving in 94, I was greeted with the news that two of my friends who I've known all through junior high and senior high school had been killed in the Battle of the Bulge. And it seemed like a poor time to be spending in college when this was going on. So I joined up on my 20th birthday, because that was the earliest that they would. Well, Hello again. Um, when I joined up, I reported to the Bronx, Hunter College, and spent about 2 months there. And I was with the singing platoon, which delighted me a lot. Our the director, his name was, what is his name? Oh. Oh, moment here. Ray Charles, who later became known for the Ray Charles Singers with Perry Como. We had a great time. We sang for different, we sang for, at noon for, long as we were there, I think, Bob and Ray show, just a 15-minute show. I don't know how long this is going to last. But we enjoyed the singing. There was about, our platoon was 524. I think there were about 50 girls in that. And we sang for going to church and different things, but the, one of the highlights of the thing of the time was singing with Frank Sinatra. Of course, it was kind of a publicity for him, but it was also a trait for us. And also we were invited to sing with Paul Whiteman's orchestra on Easter Sunday, along with guests like Gary Moore and several other people well known. And then we were taken across the street to the Essex House to eat swab. Not many people have that trait. After boot camp, a bunch of us were sent to aerographer school. In case you don't know what that is, that's learning how to be a weatherman. And that was very interesting, but when we were finished, we were all split up again. And we next stop was Jacksonville, Florida for reassignment. And took a long train ride the full length of Florida to Naval Air Station, Miami. It happened that we ended up in Miami the day the Japanese surrendered. So my active duty, you might say, was not very long, but I was not, what's the word I want to say? I wasn't let out of the service for another 10 months, and that was the end of my journey. Thank you.
Thank you. You can see her beautiful pictures up here, and that's what was going on. We wanted to make sure that you could see that, so we were trying to dim the lights. So I guess we turned it all the way off. So you were able to see the pictures that she presented to us. Can we give her one more hand? World War II. Amazing. Our next speaker is Marilyn Zimmerman, U.S. Air Force, Airman 2nd Class. She served from 1952 to 1954, Korean War era.
thank you all for coming here today. It's really nice. I'll tell you a little bit about me. I'm originally from New York. As you will hear, that I haven't lost my accent one bit after 60 years. And, but anyhow, I'm from a little village called Tuckahoe, and I'm related to everybody. And how I come to be in the Air Force, it was a spur of the moment thing. I graduated when I was 17. I went to work in the New York Telephone Company the very next day. And then when I was about 19 years old, a little village, we didn't have many stores, so went over to the next town. And when I was over there, called Yonkers, went over there, there was a big post office, and it had a big sign out front, join the Air Force. And I went in, and after about an hour and a half, 2 hours, I came out and enlisted in the Air Force. And so I said, oh, I have to go home to my parents, you know. And we didn't have cars in those days. We went by bus. And so anyhow, I had to get hurrying to get the bus, and I got home, and I said, Mama, what did I got to tell you something. She said, what? I said, I joined the Air Force. And she looked at me, she says, you did? And I said, yeah. She said to me, you think you're going to like it? And I said, yeah, I think I am. And so we accepted it. She took care of my father, though. And so she told him. And I didn't know what happened there, but he always said to me, you're so independent, anyhow. And so on March 17th, 1952, St. Patrick's Day. Everybody in New York is Irish that day. And friends come said goodbye. And we went to the train station. I went down to New York City. We were sworn in on Whitehall Street in New York. The parade was going on, St. Patty's Day parade, and they took us for a ride over there. There was 13 of us. And then they took us to the New York Central train. We went down to San Antonio by train. And I think about a day and a half, maybe two days. And it was good. Down San Antonio, Texas, Lackland Air Force Base. And so we learned all the basics and everything you learn in basic and stuff. And they did a lot of testing on us and stuff like that. And see what needs of the Air Force come first. Then we're next. And so anyhow, I came out in communications. And so anyhow, so after basic training, we turned around and went to Cheyenne, Wyoming, and went to school up there and learned everything. Know all the little dots and dashes, Morse codes and stuff like that, and teletype machines and all kinds of machines we learned up there. So I was up there for a couple of months, and then turned around and got sent back to Texas. Went to Fort Worth, Carswell Air Force Base. And we worked in a major relay station. And there was 5 of them in the United States, I think Fort Worth, Biloxi, Mississippi, Pentagon, Wright-Patterson, Ohio, and one out in California. And so all it was big machines, and all you heard was, the tape coming through all the time, all the time. And we had to monitor them all to make sure they were sent to the right places and get them corrected if they weren't, And so we did that for a while, and then all of a sudden they started shipping the wives out, and I got sent to Japan. My roommate, she went to England, went out to California, got on a ship, 15 days on the ship, going over to Tokyo. Went out to Johnson Air Force Base, it's outside of Tokyo, and we had a lot of jets. What they were, I cannot remember. But anyhow, where did I go? In the communication center. And so, where did I go? Telephone company part. And so anyhow, I work with Japanese. A lot of them spoke. We had a lot of Japanese on our base, and we're very strict about everything, our security. And we were in a compound. We had APs going around all the time, and it was fenced in and everything. And so anyhow, so working with them, we were doing some modifying of the company parked right there. And the Japanese, see, they spoke some English, but somebody called us in, and they would always try it in English or Japanese, but you didn't know which one. We had to keep switching the phones back to say, oh, this one's Japanese and this one's English, you know. So anyhow, so we learned more Japanese and they learned more English. So by the time we got through there, but anyhow, we had many alerts, but a lot of them we didn't know whether they were the real thing or not. But they used to say if a MiG got off the floor in Korea, our planes went up too. And so, but anyhow, we had alerts. We had foxholes and stuff, you know. But I happened to be. We have a command post, and where all the main officers were. And so anyhow, I was the command post operator. And so anyhow, any messages coming in and everything else. And at that time, we didn't have all the high-tech stuff that we have now. But at that time, you know, it was more manual. And I answered the phones and gave it to the proper officer and everything. But like I say, we were very restricted. I mean, not restricted, but security conscious. I mean, constantly, because you never know. And so anyhow, so I was over there for almost 2 years, and I mean, my time was up in almost 2 years. But met a fellow over there. I ended up marrying him, and he was from Springfield, Missouri, and I'm from Tuckahoe, New York. And so anyhow, we got married by the American Embassy, and I also got married by the Japanese Embassy. I have a Japanese wedding certificate. I'm in the Japanese archives over there. And so after that, they were getting ready to take some of the WAFs out of the Far East. For other reason, they were sending us to different places. But meantime, I had got married, and my husband was being sent to Denison, Texas, to Perrin Air Force Base. And he was down there, and they were going to try to get us together, but we were in two completely different career fields. I was in communication, and he was in material command. And then they were getting ready to send me back. They were going to send me to Omaha, Nebraska, and he was going down there. And so anyhow, well, my time was almost up, so they said, you know, they could give us our discharges if we had less than so much time. So I got my discharge and went on to Texas with my husband and stayed there with him 2 years and did a little traveling, went to Iceland. I went with him too. And so took my daughter with me. She was 5 months old. But anyhow, I was discharged. But I tell you what, I enjoyed the service. I don't regret one minute. 1 minute. I met the finest people. And we got along so when it was amazing. One of my roommates was from Maryland. One of them was from Las Vegas. Another one was from Wisconsin. And I love people. I love to travel, and I love to listen to them talk about their families and stuff like that. So I don't regret it, and I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful for everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Amazing. The military gives us an amazing foundation. And we're seeing that today through all of these amazing women. So our next speaker, Mabel Kim, she is U.S. Navy and U.S. Army. She served 1963 to 1966, 78 to 81. To explain all of these different dates, Miss Mabel. 1982 to 1990, Vietnam War era, and she is from Shanghai, China.
Thank you for that introduction. Hello, everyone. I know there were 3 different eras, and when I tell you my story, you can kind of put in the puzzle there. Can we put this down a little bit? I feel like I'm stepping. Thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me? Thank you. I am Mabel Kulpo Kim, and I am originally from the island of Oahu in the state of Hawaii. I enlisted in the U.S. Navy in the summer of 1963 at the age of 17 with the permission of my father. At that time, women had to be at least 21 years old to join without parental permission and have a high school education. So unlike men who could join at 18 without parental permission or required to have a high school education. The 60s was a changing and exciting time. We had a brand new charismatic president who challenged us by saying, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Amidst the Vietnam War protests, the draft was going on. The civil rights movement was gaining momentum, with Martin Luther King as a peaceful activist. We had the hippie revolution and Woodstock. There was a changing in the style of the music. We had the Beatles and the Beach Boys. We had the Cold War in our own hemisphere, which culminated in the Bay of Pigs in Cuba, and the assassination of our young president, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, on the 22nd of November in 1963. That was the day I landed in Bainbridge, Maryland, for boot camp with 2 other girls from Hawaii. We were getting off the bus, lining up, and a Navy chaplain and an officer came by and informed us that because of the assassination, they were allowed to let anyone who changed their mind about being in the Navy could get back on the bus and there would be no repercussions. 2 girls got back on the bus. We completed boot camp in the midst of winter, and I was sent to Great Lakes, Illinois for Corps School for 4 months. This was the time I saw snow for the first time. And boy, was it cold, cold, cold. I survived. In our company, we had 10 Corps women and 40 corpsmen. 2/3 of the corpsmen went to Vietnam with the Marines. I served my time in Portsmouth Naval Hospital in Virginia, where I worked on the wards of the hospital and took care of the returning fellow corpsmen who were recovering from the wounds sustained in Vietnam. I also worked in the clinics and finally ended up in the laboratory. I served 4 years and used my GI Bill to become a lab tech, then attended a 2-year nursing school, at which time I wanted to get back into the Navy Reserves. Unfortunately, the Navy only took 4-year nursing school graduates, so I served with the Army. That was the middle, yeah. With my 2-year nursing degree while pursuing my baccalaureate at the Medical College of Georgia in Augusta. My respect to the Army Nurse Corps, where I spent 2 years with a supply and MASH unit at Fort Gordon, Augusta, Georgia. We did our 2 weeks annual training at Fort Stewart Hinesville, Georgia. In the summer, where we trained in NBC warfare, which stands for nuclear, biological, and chemical warfare. We endured hot, sticky, sweltering heat while simulating taking care of the soldiers who are wounded by NBC warfare. After 2 types of this military nursing, I contemplated going back into the U.S. Navy. For those of you who remember Private Benjamin, the movie, with Goldie Hawn, who was standing out in the pouring rain, cried, "Where are the condos?" That's when I knew I had to transfer back into the Navy. So I did. After graduating from the Medical College of Georgia in Augusta, I transferred to the Navy Nurse Corps in 1981, attended OCS in Pensacola, Florida, and was assigned to the 167th Medical Dental Unit at NAS Atlanta Dobbins Air Force Base, where I served until 1990. I would do it all over again, for the Army and Navy taught me the meaning of comradeship, loyalty, integrity, and courage, and gave me the privilege to be called a veteran. Thank you all for allowing me to tell you my story.
Thank you so much. There are definitely some differences between how we live in the different branches. When I was in Iraq, and the Air Force, they were literally across the sand. Like, you could just walk right over there. The Air Force, they had washers and dryers. They had real beds. And they had dining facilities with real food. Okay? Right across the street with the Army, which is where I was. We washed our clothes in trash cans. We built our latrines. We built our latrines. We built our showers. And we did not have beds. We had the cots that were in our rucksacks when we got there. Go Air Force. So there's, and she said, go Navy. So there's definitely a difference in the different branches, because we literally used what was on our back. It was literally like basic training when I went to Iraq. But guess what? We love the foundation of the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, the Coast Guard. We have so many branches. We have space now too, right? The Marine Corps, the Navy. And so we appreciate our foundation. We all chose where we went. Miss Kim, she came to the Army and decided no and went back. So she said she respects the Army a little bit more now. So we will move on to our next speaker, Miss Rita Dyer, U.S. Army, who? Sergeant Major, E9. She served from 1989 to 2016. She served in Desert Storm, Bosnia, Herzegovina, did I say that right? Herzegovina, Iraq, and Afghanistan. And she is from Milledgeville, right here in Georgia. Please welcome Mr. Rita Dyer.
Good afternoon. Can I get a big hooah for the Army to wake y'all up? Hooah! Okay, all right. All right, good afternoon, state representatives, commissioners, distinguished guests, and veterans. Today, we remember those who served and who are still serving. To the brave women who have come before me, thank you, ladies, for your courage and your determination and paving the path for me to stand here today to tell my story. As a woman of the armed services, we have displayed mental and physical toughness, but most importantly, courage under fire. We played a vital role in the transformation of the military, whether it's the somewhat 400 women during the Civil War who disguised themselves as men and went to war, or the tens of thousands that have served in Afghanistan and Iraq. Our role has been a major contributing factor why the U.S. military gained the reputation as the most versatile, agile, rapidly deployable, and sustainable strategic land force the world has ever known. While women make up more than half of the U.S. civilian population, the fact that nearly 33% of the U.S. military are women, either in active duty, reserve, or National Guard capacity, is astounding. Our democracy depends on the willingness of its finest men and women to step forward and to serve, to dedicate themselves to a greater cause of protecting our democracy. For more than 2 centuries, veterans of our nation are willing to serve and to sacrifice for the country and a cause we love more than ourselves. This has not changed. According to the data of the Department of Veteran Affairs, there are 19 million U.S. Army veterans, U.S. military veterans, and of those, women make up nearly 2 million. Of that 2 million, nearly 93,000 women veterans call Georgia home. The image of a veteran, however, has changed. Almost half of those serving in the military are between the ages of 22 and 30 years of age. America has its largest populations of young veterans since the Vietnam War. With being an Army family, it is hard in its own way. Both my husband and I have served, both deployed to combat operations. I'm a 5-time combat veteran. I began my career deploying to the combat zone, Operation Desert Storm. Today, my task is to share my experiences through the eyes of a woman while serving. Initially, I joined the military for college, so never did I imagine I would be in war. I thought I would complete my 4 years and be done, but that didn't happen. Imagine this. It's January 17th, 1991. I recall the cold, rainy night in the desert. We were in what was known as Tent City. Before lights out, the platoon sergeant would come in and take accountability. He also briefed no wearing headphones or playing Walkmans. We got to be able to hear, we're gonna get attacked, we gotta remain vigilant. After he left, I did what all privates do. I would go and get in my sleeping bag and put my headphones on and listen to my favorite song, Mariah Carey, I Don't Wanna Cry. For your younger audience members, if we have some out there, and you're asking what a Walkman is, that is a listening device that plays cassette tapes. Okay, back to the story. As I was drifting off to sleep, I saw the tent lights come on. I saw people running and crying and putting on their chemical protective posture. Then I saw my platoon sergeant rush into this tent screaming, "Take cover, take cover. We are being attacked. We're at war." I then somehow jumped out of my zipped sleeping bag to find myself in full chemical protective posture. Then I heard a boom. I heard the rumbling overhead of multiple fighter jets. I immediately took cover. I cried and I prayed, y'all, and I prayed and I cried and I cried and prayed again and prayed again. At this moment, I began to think, I'm gonna die. I have no children and I didn't even get to go to college. Overall, the U.S. and its allies dropped over 88,000 tons of bombs over a 6-week period before the ground campaign, which only lasted 100 hours. So, after this experience, you may ask, why did you continue to serve? The answer is motherhood. I had a responsibility. Also, having earned my first combat patch, I began to feel a sense of pride and patriotism. As a young woman, I always heard of the stories of combat that involved men. I wanted to be a part of a narrative change. Nearly 2 decades later, I would be tested again. But this young private had evolved into a true warrior. Yes, there was fear, but this was different from the fear of that private of 1990s. Now I share with you the senior leader version, the voice of a sergeant major. From August 2009 to January 2010, I served in Tikrit, Iraq as the 3rd Infantry Division's Force Protection Sergeant Major. I was responsible for hazardous material operations, consequence management, weapons of mass destruction, and all the force protection equipment for the entire northern Iraq for over 25,000 personnel. As the Force Protection Sergeant Major, I often travel outside the combat operation base, either by road in various tactical vehicles or by air in Black Hawk or Chinook helicopters to the cities of Tikrit, Mosul, Erbil, Kirkuk, conducting vulnerability assessment of all the personnel. The night before departing for missions, my routine was to write a letter for my daughter, only to be shared if I would not to return. To be clear, I wrote this letter because I knew the dangers of the mission was very high, and we were fighting a war. So, in case I didn't return, I knew it was debatable if I would not return, if I was to return. During the mission, I carried an M4 automatic rifle, 7 magazines of ammunition consisting of 210 rounds, an M9 pistol with 2 21-round clips, combat gear that totaled over 75 pounds once all worn on this body, and about 20 pounds lighter too. I've been retired 5 years, so. The details of the mission are limited, so if I tell you, I might have to destroy you. Okay, on a serious note. All my operations in Iraq are seriously of strategic and tactical intelligence. Overall, this was a long 15-month deployment. When I was not on mission outside the wire, I worked with a broad international coalition, which included the U.S. Navy explosive ordnance disposal teams, the U.S. Air Force weapons specialists, the British Army, the Australian Army, the Romanian Army, Special Operations Command, and the Iraqi security forces. I often found myself as the only woman at the table of discussion, or the only woman at some of the control points, but that did not deter me. I remained vigilant, I trust in my training, and I believed in my core values. My daily routine in this order consists of prayer, exercise, mission, or work, then cleaning my ammo, cleaning my weapon, and more prayer. Sundays, if not on mission, time was allotted for worship or family time. So we had a 4-hour late start on Sundays, so I would go to church and Skype. That's FaceTiming now, in case you all don't know. Or emailing my family if time permits. Here's an excerpt I would like to share with you that I wrote one of my friends, dated August 10th, 2010. Donna, I'm glad to hear things are working out for you and hubby. You deserve happiness. I'm doing great. Just staying focused on getting out of here and back. I say I should be home before Turkey Day. I am within the 90-day mark, so this is a good feeling every day as I near the days of getting back. I did something I never done in my life. I fasted for over 23 hours, and I did it. It was great feeling. It was a great feeling and accomplishment. Enjoy your cruise. I'm in limbo right now, right? I'm trying to be optimistic, right? I'm in the combat zone telling her to enjoy her cruise. I'm in limbo right now because I made Command Sergeant Major list, and now I await what battalions I would be offered. Elle, who's my daughter, is heading back to school in a couple of weeks. I value our friendship, and I look forward to seeing you upon my return. Love you, Rita. This was sent from me while in the combat zone to a friend. Any soldier can tell you the best part of a deployment is redeployment. And once you reach that 90-day mark of return, the countdown begins. But for me, the countdown begins only to return back to Fort Stewart, 3rd Infantry Division, Rock of the Marne, to prepare for another deployment. Just 6 months upon return, I was placed on a notice to another deployment of Iraq, Operation New Dawn. But just as we were loading containers to deploy, along comes the announcement to withdraw all troops completely from Iraq, so we were diverted to Afghanistan. Less than 2 years, I'm deploying again. It's August 2012. We landed in Kirkuk, Kandahar, Afghanistan, after nearly a 27-hour flight with a 3-day layover in Romania. I'm getting off the C-130 when I notice a dozen of dignified transfers loading onto an aircraft on the airfield. Dignified transfers is conducted for every U.S. military member who dies in the theater of operation while in the service of their country. I continued to move into the hangar for security brief when we began to receive incoming rocket attacks. The big boy, which is our early warning system, okay, you all, it spoke in British. It says, rocket attack, rocket attack. That's my best British, okay? That's the best I can do. I took cover to the nearest bunker where I remained there for over an hour and a half for all clear. We resumed our administrative processing after all personnel were accounted for. My duties in Afghanistan were twofold. I served as the Force Protection Sergeant Major for the Regional Command South Afghanistan, and later I was hand-selected by the division's Chief of Staff to lead the division's first ever female engagement team. This team is consisting of physically and mentally fit female soldiers of appropriate rank and experience. They must possess the maturity to develop trust-based and enduring relationship with the Afghan women they encounter on patrol. I knew this deployment would be just as challenging as the tours in Iraq. Only I had an additional duty that required more times outside the wire, consisting of patrols and convoys. So just as I did in Iraq, instead of 1 letter, it was 2 now, because my husband was deployed to Afghanistan as well. The female engagement team would go into the villages to communicate with the Afghan women, where culturally our male counterparts could not. We traveled through very obscure conditions, always wearing equivalent combat gear of the infantry, armor, or any other combat arm occupational specialties, and we patrolled with them as well. We had no special treatment. We were expected to perform as our male battle buddies. Sometimes we endured rough terrain, but we held our own. We worked as expected as our male counterparts. There were many times on patrols the female engagement team would out-patrol the males. A lot of the specifics of the mission are limited, but I can share with you the joy I felt when interacting with the Afghan women. Every mission included an interpreter. Once we arrived at our specific location and it was deemed safe, the team would remove our helmets and put on our head coverings. On a constant, the Afghan women spoke of admiration of the female engagement team. They would speak of our strength, our courage, and also wanted it conveyed by the interpreter that they want to be like us. The interactions with the Afghan women always begin with a greeting, then a nice hot cup of chai tea. If the meeting prolonged, we would have lunch consisting of chicken kebabs, lamb kebab, and rice. The food was very tasty. Here's an excerpt from my journal while I was on a female engagement team I'd like to share. October 23rd, 2012. Mission Day at the Dan District Center in Kandahar, Afghanistan. This is exciting and I think very important start for the female engagement teams here in Afghanistan. Some view it as just a bunch of women just talking hair and nails and stuff. But I reflect on the vignettes and history told to me over the years how women, American women, had to fight. And as a sergeant major in the U.S. Army, my fight continues on a daily. The female engagement teams here at Combat Operations Lindsay are doing great work. They began the female Afghan uniform police training. I am truly excited about this visit. I want to see the hunger in their eyes for equality and freedom of the enslavement of men of their country. 1.5 hour drive into the unknown, the uncertain, and of course my adrenaline right now is at an all-time high. I watched every motorcycle, every car, and every person I saw walking along the streets. The convoy brief was thorough. It provided a be on the lookout list. Of the vehicles, there was a white Corolla listed. I tell you what, I thought I saw 1 million white Corollas. But I realized it was paranoia. I needed to be vigilant but calm. I relaxed and arrived. Overall, the first female Afghan National Police is in progress. And now I know change is coming to Afghan. End of my excerpt. My time in Afghan was curtailed by 2 months, as I was selected as the Army's prestigious Congressional Fellowship Program, where I would work as the Department of Defense advisor for Senator Christian Gillibrand of the United States Congress, Washington, D.C. As you can see, I have shared a brief snapshot of my transformation from the scared young female soldier to the confident senior leader of the United States Army. This journey of service I will not change. Today, I'm happily married to a retired 30-year combat veteran, and my life of service is to continue to serve. Thank you for this opportunity to share my journey in hopes it helps at least one feel empowered.
I would like to say thank you to all of our speakers today. Really quick, I'd like to just announce the war eras again. World War II, Korean War era, Vietnam War era, Desert Storm, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Iraq, Afghanistan. Isn't that amazing? It's amazing. As we end our amazing program with these amazing women and all of you amazing veterans, please make sure that you go out and connect with the vendors, and please greet the speakers and our distinguished guests for today. I have one last thing for you. When I spoke earlier, I spoke about the Veteran Anthem that I wrote and composed and sing. And now I would like to share the Veteran Anthem with you. If you want to stand or clap or sit or cry, whatever comes to you, please do it freely. I now present to you the Veteran Anthem. Give me a mission. Give me a purpose. Give me my assignment. I'm still worth it. I'm still your protector. I'm still your winner. I still serve America. This part of the song is the Veteran Anthem, Cadence. This is the fun part. I call veterans, I call veterans of the air, of the seas, of the land. Your left, your left, your veteran left, your left, your left, your veteran left. Veterans, I call veterans of the air, of the seas, of the land. Your left, your left, your veteran left, your left, your, you can march. Your left, your left, veteran left. Call veterans of the air, of the sea, of the land. Your left, your left, your veteran left, your left, your left, your veteran left, your left, your left, your veteran left, your left, your left, your veteran left. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I'm still I'm still Thank you.